Hey everyone, welcome back to Cosmic Life Astrology. Today we are talking about the week of August 12th through the 19th. Get your coffee ready, get your tea, grab a Celsius if you need an energy boost, because this is going to be a longer video than usual. We have a lot to unpack this week. I did mention in my Mercury retrograde video, I believe it was, that this week and next week is going to be pretty intense. And then after we get through these 2 weeks, we will see the energy lighten up at the end of the month. And then we're heading into eclipse season. So we get a break for a little bit and then we have eclipses. So let's dive into what's happening this week. We have a lot to go over. And I'm not going to go day by day because majority of the energy that's happening this week and even next week is going to be impacting the week overall. And a lot of the slower moving energy is going to have an impact in the long term as well. So I'm going to try to give this in the most digestible way possible, so even the beginners of astrology can understand what it is I'm talking about. So let's dive in after I take a sip. So I posted the other day about Juno entering Libra. I'm bringing this up as a way to ease our way into the horoscope this week because it is a lighter energy. Juno entering Libra, it's going to be there for 3 months. This is going to highlight our relationships, our commitments, what we need from our relationships and our commitments. And as we start the week, Juno is trining Pluto and trining Uranus, kind of loosely, but it's still relevant. And so this is like Pluto and Uranus saying to Juno, welcome to the party, Juno. Now it's time to get your hands dirty and make some changes, right? Which is a good thing because I think we've seen over quite some time this year a lot of pressure to make changes. There's been a lot of Uranus activity, there's been a lot of Jupiter activity, and and we have Saturn in Pisces also, speaking and being very active in the astrology. There's so much going on this year. It's a very dynamic astrological year. And this is like the peak of it all this next 2 weeks. So Juno in Libra is going to, Juno was in Virgo since October of 2023. And so it was looking at the details of our commitments, our relationships, what we need out of love and from partners. And so now that it's learned everything that it needed to learn in Virgo, it's going into a sign that's very much has the same focus. So this is going to really highlight relationship energy and love energy. And money as well, but this is, a time for Juno to balance the scales and make some changes, however they need to be made. I'm bringing this up because this is like a precursor to some of the other energy that's happening this week as well. We have Mars conjuncting Jupiter. This is one of the highlights of the week for astrologers. This is a big one because we have a slow-moving planet that is getting a conjunction from a personal planet. This only happens every couple of years, so this has a long-term influence. It starts a new cycle. We've seen other planets make conjunctions to Jupiter, Uranus, and Pluto, this year that started new cycles when those conjunctions happened. This one is no different. However, Jupiter is in its detriment in Gemini because it's the complete opposite of where it rules in Sagittarius. And so Jupiter is the weaker influence in this conjunction. So Mars has more say when this happens, which means that Mars is going to take action. Jupiter is going to be, the higher minded philosopher and teacher of the zodiac and say, hey, Mars, you know, why don't you think about this, that, and the other thing before you go ahead and do this, right? And hey, Mars, have faith in what it is you're trying to do. I know you're trying to make a decision, you're trying to take action, you're trying to, move forward, and you may be a little scatterbrained, but, focus on, the opportunity that's at hand. Focus on the beneficial side of things. There may be things that are difficult for Mars to face, that Jupiter is giving Mars some faith and optimism to enact on it. Now, when we see this happen, it's happening in Gemini, an air sign, which is very communicative. It's ruled by Mercury, so we're talking a lot. There could be maybe a lot of conversations being had, or maybe aggressive conversations. There could be passionate conversations. We're talking about Mars. It could be any one of those three, and it could be all three at once. And Jupiter is expanding that. So, be mindful of that potential, because if you are having some conversations that are, aggressive or, very angry or tense, you need to use Jupiter's higher wisdom to navigate them, and to not let it get overinflated. When we see this happen, the moon in Sagittarius will also oppose this conjunction. And so the moon is basically saying, hey, we want to have fun in Sagittarius. Let's not be so serious. Mars, just do what you got to do, and I say this because, it's like a lot of the energy we'll see throughout this week. There's like this, this wanting to pursue something and wanting to do something that is going to bring you happiness, and something harboring it, or something limiting you from actually doing it, or something or somebody, setting some boundaries or rules, or, there's just something, getting in the way, whether it's time or commitments or, work or whatever. Mars and Jupiter conjuncting is a longer term influence. So there will be, a trajectory that this is going to play out farther into the future. But in the present moment, this could, feel very frustrating, because, as I said, the moon in Sag is very fun and Mars wants to take action, but the opposition, may cause an inability to take action, or maybe a fear to take the wrong action. So as we move along into the week, we're going to see the moon in Sag make a square to Neptune. This is very, moody, but, like, Neptune is very mysterious, and they're both at anaretic degrees. So, the moon in Sag making that square to Neptune, it's like, we see this a lot this week, that something's got to change, like you may be confused about something, your emotions are saying one thing, your intuition may be saying another, and you're like trying to find that clear middle point in the square aspect. And we'll see Mars make a square to Saturn as well. And this again is that stop, go, one step forward, one step back kind of energy. Mars wants to move forward. Saturn wants you to do the work. This is the energy of, how parents say to their kids, you can go out with your friends, but you have to be home by 7 o'clock and get your homework done. It's that kind of energy. Saturn is very much a reality check, can cause delays, can cause setbacks. Saturn is very much structure and rule focused. You know, it's going to, you know, force Mars to be more grounded and follow the rules, you know, so Mars doesn't go off on a tangent in Gemini and just kind of be all over the place. Saturn is going to, you know, say to Mars, you need to focus your energy. And Mars needs that in Gemini, because Gemini, you know, can be all over the place and scattered brain. I know, because I'm a Gemini rising. So I know all about that energy. And so this could be much needed groundedness for Mars to, you know, focus on what's necessary, especially when it comes to making decisions and pursuing something that it wants to go forward with. You know, there may be a need for Mars to temper itself with what it's pushing forward towards. And that's important, because we can't just go off, you know, nilly-willy, you know, going from one thing to another. You have to have, you know, some kind of discipline and structure, especially when it comes to the important things in life. You know, you have to take care of your responsibilities first before you can have fun, you know, and yet all work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy, as they say. So, you know, there's this balancing act that's required. We will also see Chiron in Aries at 23 degrees, making a trine to the sun in Leo, also at 23 degrees. This is going to bring an opportunity for us to honor what we need, what makes us happy. You know, Chiron in Aries has been healing our ego, healing our inner wounds, our individuality, what it is that we identify with, you know, or even our physical appearance, right? And the sun in Leo, you know, is all about your heart space and what makes you happy, and, you know, having joy and harmony in your life. This brings a pleasant opportunity to find that and to honor it. You know, it's like that healed version of yourself is finally seeing, oh, I made it. I did the work. I healed. Now I finally see, like, my life is so much better now that I got through that turbulent time of healing. And so, you know, that's very much welcomed when we're talking about big energy that's going to be playing out, because you need to be healed in order to be completely open to new beginnings and changes, especially if they're coming at you or being forced upon you. You have to have that thick skin, and you have to be comfortable with yourself to know, I got me. If nobody else has me, I got me. And, you know, that's the beneficial side of Chiron trining the sun. It's knowing that no matter what, you're going to be okay. So let's talk about the sun with Vesta and Mercury. Now, these three are going to be hanging pretty tight together all week long. And essentially, there's a conversation that Mercury is having with the sun and Vesta. If you don't know, Vesta is an asteroid. Vesta's energy is very much about what we're devoted to, very much hearth and home kind of energy. And so Mercury is having a conversation with Vesta and the sun about, what are we devoted to? What does make you happy? Are you devoted to honoring your happiness and your heart space? And the three of them, as they get closer and closer together, they will eventually make a square to Uranus on Saturday. And so, you know, as they're getting closer together, more conversations are being had. And it's like a pressure cooker or a boiling point of honoring what makes you happy, honoring your heart space, and honoring, you know, where you want to devote your time and your energy to. And this is going to be the key highlight of this week, because we see this happening all week long in different ways with the planets. We're going to see Venus make a trine to the moon in Capricorn at the end of the week on Friday. This is a very loving, feel-good energy when Venus is trining the moon, you know, definitely a great time to go out on a date, spend time with family, friends, you know, very much a good date night on Friday. However, while they're making their connection, there's going to be a loose connection to Saturn. Venus will be opposing Saturn still, and the moon will be sextiling Saturn. So it's like this, hey, Cinderella, you can go out and have yourself a wonderful time at the ball, but don't forget, you have to be home at midnight. You still have a curfew. So there's a need to temper yourself. Yet again, we're seeing this pattern of tempering yourself, you know, going about things the right way, having some discipline, or, you know, Mercury retrograde, I can't think of the word I want to use, but disciplining yourself, not getting carried away, and getting, as I like to say, lost in the sauce, you know. And then on Saturday, we'll see the moon in Capricorn make a trine to Uranus. This is very much, it's like you had a great date night and now you're seeing, you know, where the light at the end of the tunnel can be. Your emotions have the opportunity to transform your trajectory and what you're trying to build, what your future can look like. Because we're talking about Taurus, which is very tangible, and very much, you know, focused on our values. So it's like you have this great date night and suddenly you wake up and you feel like Princess Jasmine singing A Whole New World with Aladdin, you know. I wasn't expecting to use that, but it just came to me, so I'm going with it. But that's what it's going to feel like. And then we're going to see Venus at 17 degrees of Virgo make an opposition to Saturn in Pisces. And, you know, when you have an opposition, there's two opposing energies. We're talking about Pisces, a dreamy, you know, visionary, spiritual realm, and Virgo, which is really the complete opposite, which is like, what are the facts? What are the details? What are we signing up for? How, You know, Virgo wants to know everything about everything before it signs on the dotted line. And Pisces is like, well, you know, it could be like, this could be so great. Don't worry about that. No. Venus wants to know, what are we doing? Do I really love this? You know, is my sensual Venusian, you know, creative energy really seeing the facts? You know, Venus wants to see the facts. And Saturn is going to help bring that, you know, especially when we're talking about Venus and Virgo opposing Saturn. You know, Saturn's like, yes, we're talking about structure. We're talking about long-term. We're talking about reality here. And so as this opposition is happening, we're also going to see these two opposing energies making a T-square to Jupiter in Gemini. Now, T-squares are, I like them better than regular squares because essentially, to me, how I've always explained it to clients, and to anybody I do readings for, or even on my videos here, when you see the two opposing forces, you have to look to that middle force that's involved in the T-square to see what you should be honoring, to help get you through that opposition. And when we're talking about Jupiter being that middle force in a T-square, Jupiter is giving faith and optimism and bringing expansive opportunity and, you know, using its wisdom and truth and higher knowledge. And so as Venus and Saturn are talking about, you know, the details and, you know, the structure that they're building and, you know, what they're trying to co-create together, Jupiter is injecting its higher wisdom and its optimism and faith to have both of them come to an agreement. So I would say during this time, during the T-square, tap more into Jupiter's energy when this pops up, because chances are you're going to see some kind of situation where there's two opposing forces involved, and you're going to have to tap into Jupiter's energy to navigate it. That's how you handle a T-square. It is a pressure cooker. It is a force to take action. We've seen this repeated pattern of being forced to take action, being, pushed to honor yourself, being pushed to, honoring what makes you happy, and also knowing that you need to temper yourself and stay disciplined, don't get carried away, and do the work, honor the work that Saturn requires. It's that whole as one door closes, another one opens kind of energy week. There could be something that you're closing out with Saturn and another thing that you're trying to pursue. And you may be looking at both of them at the same time, like, how am I going to handle this? And the answer is handle it with Jupiter's wisdom, with Jupiter's faith, with that higher knowledge that Jupiter has. Handle it with care. Trust in your truth. Trust in the fact that you have an opportunity that can expand your world. If you just finish out whatever is falling behind, whatever you're closing up, whatever chapter may be ending, whatever project you may be finishing, something else is coming along, and it may not take long before you see it come along. It may already be in your world where, you're in the process of, starting something while also closing something out. And so this is a week where you may feel that overwhelm if you have two things going on where, it may be a lot to handle, but you have the opportunity to handle it this week. And this is all leading up to the Aquarius full moon. And when we get to the Aquarius full moon next week, it's going to be, again, a lot of intensity, T-square energy, square energy. These are critical times in our astrology for this year. It's as if these next 2 weeks are turning points. These next 2 weeks are, it's like throughout the year we've been seeing, a lot of, we're in Aries, Libra, North Node, South Node energy where we're balancing us versus them, or, our needs versus our partner's needs, or however it's playing out for you. We had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction wanting to expand and change things. And there's been a buildup and a lot of support this year for great changes. And it's as if these next 2 weeks, especially when we get to that full moon, and I will explain when I do that video because I do have a lot to say about it. It's as if these next 2 weeks are when we turn the corner, when, we finally reach that that boiling point where everything changes, where everything can turn around. So you may have been seeing things already throughout the year transpiring where, you may have been trying to expand something or, make certain changes in your life where now, that pressure cooker is boiling over these next 2 weeks. So I hope this doesn't scare you. I hope this only prepares you for the energy that's ahead of us. These are 2 dynamic weeks that we have ahead. And like I mentioned before, this is leading us into eclipse season. And so eclipses are portals where we see greater changes. So it's like, you know, we're building up towards eclipse season. It's like we're being forced now to initiate the change, to accept where things are falling away and where, you know, doors are opening for us, so we can, you know, tap into that eclipse energy where it's like, okay, now this new chapter is beginning, right? So it's all good. Energy is very fluid. You know, astrology is meant to be a guide, meant to help us navigate, you know, the energy in our lives and in our world. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of things happening in, you know, world news, and especially when it comes to politics, because we have the conventions happening in the middle of this. And so, you know, and I don't talk about politics, but, you know, it's coincidental, some of the timing of this big energy and things that we already know are ahead of us. This is going to affect us on a large scale because of the slower moving planets that are at play. And, you know, if you don't see it happening on a personal level, well, then you're kind of lucky. But I think most people will, because with all the different planets and asteroids in play, it'll be affecting, you know, a point or a natal planet in your chart, you know, or connecting to one where you're gonna see things happen. And if it doesn't affect you personally, it may be affecting, you know, maybe your partner or your child, or, you know, someone close to you in some way. So again, it's all fluid. We'll get through this. Being forewarned is forearmed, you know, so I'm here to help light the way. And I hope you enjoy this. I know it was a lot to spit at you, but I do hope this helps you navigate the energy for the next week, and even ahead of that. So if you enjoyed this video, please share your comments, like the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already subscribed. I'm trying to build this channel so I could eventually do this full time and talk more about astrology, because there's plenty more to talk about. I'm doing what I can in the limited time that I can right now, but there's definitely, astrology is a never-ending knowledge. You know, it's like there's always different nuances to learn, different types of astrology, different, you know, different realms of it that, you know, it's never ending. I've been studying it since just about 30 years now, and I'm forever fascinated with it. So I digress. Have a great week. I will be back with more videos. Bye, everyone.